Hey guys, gals, and MBs, I'm here today with two phenomenal pieces of equipment, the BigSky MX from Strymon and the Sequential Trigon 6. So this is going to be a separate video. I really was going to make a video this week on the Behringer Pro 800, but let's do something completely different. The Pro 800 video will be in the future. It'll be very soon, but I really want to make a video on the BigSky MX since I'm one of the first people that seems to be with one of these, and it'll probably be one of the first videos up with a synth. Full disclosure, I bought this with my own money. Strymon didn't send me this. They have sent me a pedal in the past, but yeah, so it is what it is. Just want to get that out of the way. The other thing I want to state is I've been going back to using Strymon pedals almost exclusively for reverb over using the Mercury X. I sold my Mercury X. It just wasn't doing it for me. I did like it. It just doesn't have the Strymon sound that I like. Cloud algorithm is one of my favorites. It was hard to emulate on that, so I had a Cloudburst. I did sell my Cloudburst once I got the BigSky MX. That sold quick. It was insane. It sold in one day. So, and I mean, I put it up for a decent amount of money, but it just sold really quick. So you can see how sought after Strymon stuff is. But this has Cloud. This has a more advanced version of the Cloud algorithm. I guess that's what they said it was. It does sound a little more smooth on long reverb times, and I'll get into that. But yeah, this thing is phenomenal. I will say I haven't sold the Night Sky, and the Night Sky I am going to be keeping. The Night Sky is still its own thing. The BigSky still can't do some of the things the Night Sky can, and the big Night Sky can't do things the BigSky can. This has more recent iterations of newer algorithms, like the Bloom algorithm, which I love, is now updated and sounds better. It also has convolution reverb, so you can load this up with impulse responses, and that's cool because there's a few other impulse response or convolution reverb pedals out there, but from what I understand, they're a little clunky and they don't work as well as you would expect, at least from user reviews. So that I wanted a convolution reverb for the longest time in a pedal because I love reverb, but finally I have a BigSky. It can run two algorithms at the same time, and it has convolution. Again, this is going to be its own separate video, but I want to go over it really quick. I'm only using presets that are built into it right now. I haven't had too much time to make my own. This thing is ungodly, like phenomenal when it comes to sound design. I mean, it's very simple as a synth goes. It is a just 6-voice analog poly. It is fully analog for the most part, except for the digital effects. But when you bypass the effects, it has an analog signal path, so that's cool. I know that the Take 5 isn't fully analog. It has a digital distortion and section. I think the filter drive is analog on that, and the VCA is digital, but who cares? The Take 5 sounds awesome. I wanted something a little different from Sequential. Initially, I was going to get an OB6 to have the Oberheim sound, but as funny as it sounds, I have a Mini Freak, and that has a SEM filter, so I still want an OB6 in the future, but maybe I'll wait because they have that new Take 5 style OB coming out eventually. Probably. It was leaked. Maybe it's fake, but we'll see. So I have a Take 5 and a Pro 800 for Prophet sound, so I don't need another Prophet. I was on the fence of getting a Prophet 6 module. I think it was a module. Yeah, I think they make a front module of that, or like a Prophet 10, but I went with the Sequential. That said, this will be a separate video by itself. Just know it sounds absolutely phenomenal, and I love it. Just like I love the Take 5, just like I love the Peak. They're all the same quality to me, but different, if that makes any sense. You won't stop seeing more affordable synths on my channel. Again, I'll make the Pro 800 video soon. This was too exciting to pass up. That said, I was going to initially, just as a kind of a joke, use this on the BigSky, but only because I get so many comments saying, oh, you use such expensive pedals with such cheap synths, but it is what it is. So yeah, that all out of the way, long-winded introduction. Let's get into some of the things, what I love about this. And I honestly think this is it is the be-all end-all of reverbs. Well, until whenever they come out with something better, Strymon, I was going to say. I'm sticking with the Strymon reverb sound at this point, to the point where I'm thinking about selling all my other, most of my other reverbs. I have the Walrus Slower, oddly enough, I still want to keep around, and obviously the Night Sky I'm keeping around, but that's Strymon. I might keep the Golden Reverberator too, because that does the lexicon sound so well, but this can too, especially with, yeah. So I have this sound right here. Well, Sequential made this sound for me, or whoever the sound designer was. It's pretty cool, it's resonant. And I have an algorithm here called Noodle Dragon, and it uses the cloud algorithm into Bloom, and it's just phenomenal. I should mention that this is just my first overview of the Big Sky. It's not going to be totally exhaustive about it. I'm just going to go over, I've only had it a few days, so I'm getting used to the sound, and yeah, so it's not gonna, like I said, exhaustive, but yeah. So it is Cloud into Bloom, which obviously just sounds like phenomenal. One of the things I want to get out of the way that is really unique, the long reverb times don't get all comb filtery and too shrill or high frequency. Like there's not too many high frequency harmonics that just sound nasty in the long decay times like the original Big Sky had. If you push the cloud algorithm in the original Big Sky for like a long period of time, it got very shrill in the higher frequencies. It just didn't sound very nice, but you could use the tone control, but in this you don't have to. So I went into a blank algorithm, and the cool thing is cloud is the default algorithm. It seems to be in like a blank one. Oh, and I should mention that this OLED is great, and I love the fact that they use this kind of green-yellow color scheme because it reminds me of a vacuum fluorescent display, and that is just phenomenally cool. I love vacuum fluorescent displays. Other than their longevity, they don't last super very long. But yeah, so what I was going to say is we can go with a very high reverb time. This is 50 seconds, and it will not get shrill as it goes on. We're not going to wait all 50 seconds, but... But yeah, as you can tell, as it decays, we'll back it off a little. As it decays, it doesn't get shrill. It stays this very nice, very usable, very hi-fi like sound. It just obviously we have our whole tone control here. We have mod. And since I'm keeping the Night Sky, one of my most famous videos is the Big Sky, the original Big Sky versus the Night Sky. But I'm going to do a Big Sky MX versus the Night Sky because the Night Sky still does things this can't, and vice versa. But yeah, so Cloud has been updated apparently from what they've said, even over the Cloudburst pedal. But yeah, it does sound very nice at very high decay times. And one of the things you get over the pedal that you don't get, one of the things I did miss, is you can set the diffusion. So here we can go very low diffusion. We'll use this one. If you listen very carefully, you can hear the individual taps of the delay portion of this. So the cloud algorithm works in a way where it uses multiple delay taps, and it melds it together with a diffusion block that ends up smearing it into a reverb, and that's why it sounds so good, at least. And it's super heavily modulated as well. It can be, at least. I think that's why it sounds so good, but with no diffusion, you can hear those reverb or the delay taps. I keep wanting to say reverb taps. So the pedal form of Cloudburst, you can't set this. It's set automatically based by decay time. So the more decay time, the more it diffuses. But with full diffusion, this sounds like way better than the Cloudburst pedal. Not that I had a problem with the Cloudburst pedal, because as you can see in my previous videos, I've used it so much. But that that reverb quality, the diffusion quality in this is just phenomenal. You turn the tone down. And then obviously you still have the ensemble mode, but just the pedal got an update where you can change the ensemble modes, the amount it is per on the switch, like with one of the potentiometers, but now you just have it, you can assign it to a hot switch here, one of the parameter knobs, or you can do it from the menu, so you can set how much you want. So just, that's amazing. That's amazing. So yeah, this has convolution reverb, which means that you can use impulse responses, which is cool. It supports up to 10 seconds of impulse response. So one of the coolest reverbs I ever thought like existed, I don't remember the model number, but I remember like a friend of mine had it in his studio. And it was I would say late 90s unit. It was the first convolution reverb like in a rack unit. It was a Sony device. It used memory sticks, obviously, because, you know, Sony and their memory sticks, can't get them away from that. And it had a CD-ROM drive. I think it was the DFS like 777 or something like that. I'm probably remembering the naming wrong, but it let you run basically diffusion not diffusion, but reverb profiles that were like convolution. They had impulse responses and so forth. That only supported, like, most of them were up to like 6 or 7 seconds. So doing a 10-second is amazing. Anyway, I bring that up. That always got me really interested into convolution reverbs. Obviously, most modern DAWs have a impulse response / convolution reverb in them, but in a pedal form, while there is a few, they're not very common. So one of the cool things that this does, so a impulse response is just a wave file where I'm simplifying this. This is it's very boring to explain how it exactly works. You send out a burst of noise. Let's just call it, we'll just say white noise because it's it has multiple frequencies in it. And then you send it through whatever you want to profile. In most cases, it's going to be a room, right? So you send out this white noise, then you record back what that white noise does in the room, and then you can use certain mathematical functions that combine your audio signal at a later time into that, and then you can get technically the reverb of that room. Now, it gets more interesting when you use things that weren't that room being sampled. For instance, what if you were to run it through another piece of equipment like a Lexicon reverb? Well, then you have those. And the built-in impulse responses, we have those, and that's really cool. So if I go to impulse here, we have the 480 Hall, we have the 960, the Taj Mahal, we have the 960 oil can. We'll just use the Hall because the 480 Hall is so ubiquitous. We'll set it up to 100%, which means it'll be the full time that they sampled into this, which I'm assuming is 10 seconds. Yeah, so. But the cool thing is now, unlike a lot of other convolution reverbs out there, at least in pedal form, I'm sure the Poly one can do this. I think you can add modulation, but yeah. You know, don't take my word for it. You have to look into those other reverbs on what they can do, but I don't think they have the ability to like time stretch the convolution algorithm, or not algorithm, sorry, the impulse response. In this case, we can add modulation to this, even if the original didn't have modulation, the impulse response. But we can also go back here. Hold on. We hold down. We can also stretch it. So let's say that was 10 seconds. Well, now we can make it 4 times longer. It's not exactly, but this wasn't a 10-second impulse response probably. But yeah, so cool things like that, we can manipulate that. So it's not just a static impulse response. That, and then you pair it with something cool, like, so we have that. Let's go back, and we're going to go back again. So we can add another, to add another algorithm to anything you've made on this is really easy. Just press this knob. You get reverb. You see how it says reverb 2 off? Well, you can set it to be series into the other one. You can set it to be series and back into the other one. You can set it as separate right and left channels. You can set it as parallel. We're going to run series into another algorithm. We'll run that Hall from a 480, Lexicon 480. Into we'll add it into shimmer. Let's use this one again. We'll go back here. This one's nice and mellow. None of the effects are on this, by the way. That pan spread is actually a VCA based pan spread, so yeah, so you can do that. So you can have your early real reflections, like of a room or something, as the impulse response into something like cloud. So I don't know. Let's try that. Let's go back into the impulse response. We'll pick a impulse. We're going to pick, there's some real rooms in here, I think. Well, I'm assuming they're real rooms. York Minster. Let me see. We'll use the warehouse. Yeah, so we're going to shorten that. We'll use it as early reflections. We'll see. Yeah, okay, so that's good. We'll set it to really short. We're going to go. We still have shimmer enabled. But so we have early reflections based on the real room because, yeah, it's a very short thing. And then we can go into the cloud algorithm. So like this. So we have the realistic room reflections from warehouse, which is actually not going to be early reflections because it's a big room. But we're going to go into the cloud algorithm into a very long decay time. I'm going to turn the mix 50-50 is around 3 o'clock, which it is on the smaller pedals and the newer Strymon pedals. So that's something to be aware of. So it's really kind of magical because you get that quick burst in the very beginning of the attack phase where it's very realistic sounding, like you're really in a room. And then you just go on forever. So, yeah, you can tell with how I sound, like how excited I am about this pedal and just the creative abilities you get, especially for the kind of music I make. So yeah, this I didn't even expect this to come out yet. I didn't even know that they were going to make a new one. I think, well, at least they're innovating for themselves. So that's pretty cool. We're going to go back to another blank one. We're going to hear one of the other new features that I find phenomenally cool. So, man, that is just such a good sounding synth, isn't it? That's just a triangle wave. But yeah, so let's go to the Bloom algorithm that's been updated. It now has a harmonics feature, which we go into. Oh, I did the wrong thing. We go into, oh, it's set to cloud. Let's set it to Bloom. And then we're going to go to harmonics. There we go. We're making it longer. So just like Ensemble, we now have a harmonics feature. That does get harsh because of how it works. So that's the length. We'll turn the length up, low and down. I guess we don't have harmonics set to oops. We don't have harmonics set to a hot knob. Let's turn this down a little. So we're introducing a bunch of extra harmonics into the signal, and it sounds really cool. There we go. Turn it down a little, turn the tone down, turn up a lot of modulation. It's like shimmer, but it's just so cool sounding. Yeah, so that's a cool new feature. Let's go into Shimmer and actually hear the new Shimmer algorithm. It has, so just as an aside, you can go back and use the old BigSky algorithms if you really want to. I don't know why you would. The new algorithms just sound so much phenomenally better, in my opinion. I mean, you teach their own, I guess. So we're going to turn up the Shimmer quite high, or the decay. Turn it to here. Yeah, just listen to that pitch shifting. They're using a different algorithm for the pitch shifter now, too. Let's use one of my favorite things to do, and that is to set a octave plus a fifth, and it's now its own mode. So, and then we can even set the second voice, something that the night sky can't do. You have two voices here to use. We'll set it to octave down. And we'll turn the tone down. We'll turn up a lot of modulation. Now, because we have two reverb algorithms that we could run at the same time, we're going to do that. We're going to set it, and we're going to use Cloud, because Cloud is the best algorithm. And yeah. That's scientific too. Cloud is the best algorithm. One of the things you should notice, it doesn't really get extremely muddy with low frequencies. It just handles it so well. The other things you have over the cloudburst pedal, somebody asked me that when I brought this up, is you have like panning modes and things like that. Again, the biggest thing is you can also set like the low end. So if it's a little too muddy in the low end, you can set that, or if you want more low end boost, so lower frequencies. Yeah, let's turn up the diffusion again just to make this just wonderful. We'll turn up the decay a lot on the cloud portion. Shimmer into cloud. Just listen to how that filters out, how lovely that is. It's not getting comb filtery and staticky towards the end of the decay cycle. Okay. So let's go back into another blank one. Hall, a lot of people think is a boring algorithm. I don't, because one of my favorite algorithms of all time is the Lexicon 480s, or actually the 224's Hall, because the 224 is super ubiquitous because of Blade Runner, obviously. But this is very, very good. The Hall in here is just awesome. I love big Halls. So yeah, you can set the mids, the highs, and all of that in this, but let's set the decay way up. Had a lot of modulation. Yeah, you can add swell to that too. So you see in the voice type, you can switch back to the old algorithm. Let's actually hear the difference. So voice, new algorithm. Classic. Modulation sounds a little better too in the modern algorithm. I hope that comes through with the YouTube compression and all that, but it does sound just phenomenally better. So, yeah, I'm just so floored with how good this thing sounded. The price point is high. I will give it that. At the time of the production of the video, the price point is $679, which is still cheaper than a like the Eventide H90, for example. I shouldn't say cheaper, less costly than an H90, but the H90 reverb algorithms are nothing compared to this. I've played with an H90 for a little bit of time, and it doesn't compare to this when you would go to reverb. So yes, it better be good for the price, and luckily it was, because otherwise this would have been a video with me basically shitting on the BigSky MX, saying, hey, you shouldn't buy this thing because it's terrible. But to the contrary, this thing is like flipping amazing, as you can hear. So the Magneto algorithm got an upgrade. So that's a multi-head tape delay, and you know how much I love multi-head tape delays, to the point where I have a Volante, I have the Universal Audio, the Galaxy, is it the 74? And yeah, multiple tape style pedals like that. So I love me some tape delay. So it does sound very good, but it has some cool new features, and the coolest new features. So let's just hear it. I think it's actually already set on. Yeah. So ping pong is not set on by default, but because I've set it to have it on, it seems to carry over to new algorithms. So that's one of the cool features. If you keep a setting in there, it seems to carry it over. So yeah, you can now use ping pong on it. All right. And we can change the spacing, obviously, like we used to be able to. But yeah, let's do this. We have the pre-delay there, is our feedback on the last head. So, and you have diffusion. The original BigSky also had diffusion on this algorithm. So yeah, the ping pong is really cool. So yeah, love that algorithm, especially since you could run it along with something else. On the original BigSky, I wasn't too keen on using that because the El Capistan and pedals like that existed already, and I would rather use one of those to do it. But if you're using it alongside another reverb algorithm in the same pedal, it kind of has a value add to that. So yeah, that is very, very cool. Yeah, I don't know much more that I really want to cover in this video in particular. I've went over most of the ones that I love to use, the algorithms, I should say, or machines, as they tend to call these. I'm not sure if they're still calling them machines, but yeah, Coral is okay. It's a little on the harsh side. It's the only one that I figure is a little harsh. It's probably the formant filtering that's happening in the algorithm, but yeah. Absolutely wonderful. Yeah, I should stop really gushing about it, and I should end the video because I'm over 30 minutes at this point, probably, with editing. So yeah, if you want to see more of the BigSky MX, well, I'm going to be using it in a lot of videos. I'll probably use it alongside my Pro 800 when I do that video. And I will make a video where I use it against a really cheap Casio keyboard, like the Casio Tone, this thing. I'll use it against this thing. We'll just listen to it. It'll be fun. It'll be hilarious. That said, like I said, I think I'm at a loss to what else I should say about it. Otherwise, this will be hours and hours long of me going over reverb algorithms and boring everybody to death. But yeah, this will be a video next. This thing is awesome. The Trigon 6. It just, yeah. Oof, yeah, that Coral algorithm is just not my favorite. It wasn't a big thing for me on the original either. Oh, the chamber's nice. One sec, before we end. And we have different modes to this. Like, I like using the smooth mode. Here we go. Let's go smooth. I keep going past it. Turn up a lot of decay time on that. Turn the pre-decay all the way down, a little tone. Yeah, so wow. I'm already calling it. This is my pedal of the year. It's going to be hard to beat this thing unless they come out with a new timeline this year and it just blows me away, because I do love delay just as much as I love reverb, but yeah, I doubt it that this will be beaten anytime soon, especially for reverbs. I will mess with putting in some impulse responses into it and doing some weird things with that in the future as well. So hey, if you like this kind of content and you haven't subscribed to my channel, go ahead and do so, and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time.